So beautiful.
Bring on the
That's
audience.
yep, yep. That's such a wonderful thing. It's like my
Some people call it 20 years of marriage. For some people, is unimaginable torture.
yeah, yeah. Some people like I don't get it. I think it's wonderful. I look at like my parents and their my mom and my dad when they were married. They didn't make it 20 years. It was more like 5 years or six.
They could suffer through five.
It was they. I don't know when they got married. It just was not a lot of ways. I think they were very much. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. It's like they were almost settling for things, and they didn't really consider how certain behaviors were going to affect each other over time. That makes
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. No, the inability to grow up and to have a soul is a
have
pain in the ass.
a soul.
Yeah, right. You know,
Um,
we were joking. There's a term, like, the term when I became a person,
yes.
right? It's often referred to. There's a couple stages, right? So, for Jews and maybe Christians too, it's and maybe even Muslims too, right?
Hmm.
They're slightly different in there, but mostly the same concept. Is when they're old enough to realize what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere between 8 to 13,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, and then there's the second awakening, somewhere between 18 and say 25, 26, right?
I would.
I know the hesitation because you're thinking 45, 60. I'm seeing a lot of them haven't really awoken into that, but yeah.
No, no, it's more of I see a lot more people with that 18 to 25 range. I see more people awakening towards the 25 range and not so much the 18 range, especially nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people never, right?
Yep.
Because it's the realization beyond yourself.
Yep. And that's the big one. It's as you said, it's that realization beyond yourself. If you Yeah, it's huge. It's like
Hmm.
I have this kid in my small group. He is 24 years old, and like interacting with him, talking to him, and spending any sort of amount of time with him, you'll be like, "What's wrong with you?" Because there's obviously something off and wrong, and it's not like a um, "Oh, you must be autistic" type thing. It's a you are extremely immature. Why is that? What's going on there? But then
Yeah.
it's like I've interacted with other people around his age, and I'm like, yeah, you're a little more mature, or something along those. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like it definitely depends upon the person and what's going on and circumstances in life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. I think you don't grow up until you sometimes have to.
Yes, very true. Well, it's like
So,
with this guy, he's like struggling with essentially, in my view, he's struggling with making his faith his own. So, like, just really truly understanding. It kind of annoys me because I keep telling him, "What have you like? You need to go and figure this out on your own." He's like, "Yeah, I'm going and asking all of these people." I'm like, "Okay, you need to stop doing that, and you need to go and sit down and read. Like, you need." It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, you need to change your focus, dude.
yeah, you keep you going around and constantly asking people how like questions like how do you know that God is real or how do you know that Jesus is real type thing. Like you're only going to get other people's answers. You're not going to get the answer for yourself. You need to go and actually sit down. And it's not that he's not reading his Bible. He is, which good. Keep reading your Bible, but it's also like, okay, what are you reading alongside your Bible? Do you have a catechism? Do you have a commentary? is there some sort of a new Christian book that you should that you like, things like that. So
Hmm.
it's just anyway, all of that to get back to the question of what you're saying is it's like, okay, dude, you need to sit down and recognize that you are just one tiny little person, and trying to get and you going around and like demanding these answers from other people isn't helping anybody. All it's doing is really just frustrating people. And it's like, come on, you need to wake up to that. Wake up to the fact that there's a world beyond yourself, and there's a world beyond your small problems that God is charge of. So anyway,
Yeah,
other
yeah, no,
what
that's
other
exactly what it is. You
what
got to
other
sometimes
awakenings? Go ahead.
do that. So I think that also okay. So since we're getting on the subject, right? Those are the humanity awakenings,
Okay, yep. Wait,
and
just
so then
those?
there's evolution. Then there's manhood awakenings. I think,
Okay, okay, that's an
right?
interesting. Okay,
So
different
we
term.
have yeah, a very different term. Um, Women cannot fall into this category ever.
That is
You know,
very
so sorry,
true.
ladies. This discussion isn't for you. Don't even listen. Especially if you're a feminist, you don't need to know this shit. Uh, because obviously, if you're a feminist, wisdom isn't for you. Um,
Ex- Unless you're the Proverbs 31 woman, in which case you are wisdom.
right, right. Um, which means you've moved past feminism.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yes. Oh, you have transcended feminism at that point. If you are a Proverbs 31 woman, you
right,
have transcended wisdom or wisdom,
you are the
feminism.
definition of woman.
Yes. Yep. And we, oh dear, cat. I'm getting
And you
attacked.
start laughing, and she got jealous.
Well,
He
he's
got
like,
jealous.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's. Hi.
Weightlifting. Hey.
Yeah, but he's like, he trusts me so much that doing stuff like that, he doesn't care as much anymore.
No, he got used to your antics.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I took him to the vet one time, and they were getting ready to give him shots and stuff, and he was like not having it. And then
Hmm.
because the tech was trying, here he comes again. The,
He's not
the
going anywhere.
the vet tech was trying to hold him down and everything, so that the vet could give him the shots, and
Hmm.
he just wasn't having it. He was like, nope, squirming all over the place. So I ended up just like grabbing on and holding on to him, and he just kind of started calming down immediately. And the vet was like, wow, he's really calmed down. He really trusts you. It's like, yeah, he does,
Right.
because I'm the only person who he ever sees. So he has to. Yeah,
He
yeah.
has to.
Ah,
You're his connection with humanity.
I'm his connection with the world. I'm the one who feeds him.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
For cats, yes. Anyway, so go
Hmm.
on. The manhood
So
awakening.
manhood awakenings. Maybe these are more event based. One is when you
Hmm.
have your first daughter,
Ooh, yeah.
right? Which probably I'll never experience. Um, and
I.
so I think so. I have all boys, right?
Mhm.
Um, and my thoughts are, I'll realize at least fractionally this when one of my sons get married. That'll be my first daughter.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little different category, right? But the giving the way of the son is a bigger deal for the mother, right? So that's one of the
Yes.
mother,
Yes.
that's one of the mother's woman's awakenings, but it's not one of the man's, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, except
For
for the gaining of a daughter.
for the women, I will say it's a um it's a recognition of your son is not your own, is not yours.
It's not a recognition; it's a releasing.
Yeah. Well,
There's a difference.
it's a bit of both.
It
You
is.
have
It
to.
is a bit of
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to sit and be able to like, for the women, they have to kind of They have to recognize that their son is not their own, and along that, they also have to recognize, oh, I have to share my son now. But it's also, but it's more than that. Like, it's not so much more that it's not the sharing. It's the, okay, my son is not my own. Now I have to give him up to my new
Yep.
daughter-in-law, and that's the big part of it. Like, so it's a
Yeah.
two-step process of, oh, he's not mine. Oh,
Hmm.
he's now yours. Now, I think the not mine aspect of it can happen for like, so this is me speaking from personal experience. I think that the he's not mine aspect of it can happen at one point, and then like the actual giving up can happen later. So and the he's not mine, I think, can happen, and probably should happen while the son and the new is dating the woman. It's
Hmm.
the, like, oh well, you are, like, okay, I that like I think all of that should happen, and then the giving up is when the son comes to his family and says, I want to marry her, and the
Okay.
so
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's how I view it.
Okay. That's I would add a little bit of a caveat that when the mother realizes that her son is going to get married, she
Yeah.
has two choices. One is to, well, three choices. One is to sabotage. One is to
Yes.
actually relinquish
Yes.
the relationship to the new daughter.
Yep.
And the third is to do a combination of hostile resistance, placating, and
Yep.
unwillingness to actually accept the change in relationship,
Yep. Absolutely.
which is
Absolutely.
what most mothers normally do.
There's there's a lot going on that if that doesn't happen, so like two
It's
things.
not good for the daughter, the new
Well,
daughter-in-law.
so then it falls onto the son to set the boundaries
Yeah,
as
yeah,
appropriate,
it does. It does.
and be like, Mom, this is my wife, you need to accept that
This
that
is
she is
wifey
my
boo.
wife.
It's your new daughter. You
Yep.
can either love her or never
Yep.
see me again.
Yep. Like, I will say, my between my dad and my stepmom, my dad did a fairly good job with that with my grandmother, so his mother. He did a fairly good job of it. There was only, as far as I know, only one time where my grandmother really came between my dad and my stepmom, and that was mainly because of some my dad was in the hospital, and she got new she didn't get, anyway, it was a whole fiasco of a situation, and eventually they resolved it. But anyway, my stepdad and his mom, they don't he has not done a very good job of it. A lot of that falls on my on his mom's behavior and how that is, and I've seen how that affects the relationship between my mom and her mother-in-law,
Hmm.
and it sucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people don't. I think you don't recognize this issue
Mm-hmm.
organically.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, like the first time your kids get married, you don't realize the wife doesn't realize this is happening,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
The mother doesn't realize it's happening. The boy doesn't know what to expect. He hasn't probably hasn't seen it, right?
Yep.
If especially if he's the first one in the family getting married, um, you don't expect it as a son. It hits you like left the field.
Yeah.
If it happens,
Completely.
right? Yep, yep. So it's um it's kind of funny because you just don't. Most boys just don't expect it.
No, they don't. They fully expect that they're going to be able to go and get married, and their mother's going to be very happy for them. And I think some of it too is like the mothers don't expect it either. They like I think some of them, they're kind of like, oh wow, hold on, my cat is being very annoying.
She's not going to accept any other place than there. He's fighting it. Yep. Big old cat dude. Oh, horrible. Wireless.
I don't have any.
Take one of your extra truck payments and get some.
He's being very needy this morning. I don't know what is going on in his head.
I can imagine the show that'll happen if you lock him out the door.
I have done that before in other homes, and he has like stuck his paw under the under the door to try and like open it and get himself in. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not pleasant. So
It's not pleasant.
no, it's
Oh
not.
no. Oh
Especially
no.
when I have carpet and he has claws. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
so
Yep.
what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted.
Give
uh,
that cat hell.
Here he
Show who's the
comes.
dad.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
You're obviously missing the point of being mean to your creature.
I don't think so. I think he's just going to keep worming his way back into my heart no matter what I do.
Right.
Anyway, he or so one of the things I was saying with mothers is I don't think a lot of mothers really recognize or understand how it's going to be when they give their son up in marriage. We all so let me take a step back. Like we often talk about um in a marriage the father giving away the bride, but at the same time it's like, hey, in a marriage a mother is giving away her son. So like this is like a marriage is a really big thing, and there's a reason why when you go into like Genesis chapter 2, they talk about it and say for this reason a man will leave his family and go and be with his wife. It is a leaving and everything, even though like in the ancient context it wasn't quite a leaving like what we would think of it as, because I think for you your family's here still in the US, whereas you
Yep.
are elsewhere. Anywho,
Yeah, but I think it basically means get out of mom's tent.
yes, exactly that's exactly what it is. um the uh the other part of it, or so what I was saying is like I don't think a lot of like I think some women know that that has to happen, but I don't think a lot of women really understand what that's like or what like how they have to do it until it actually happens to them. It's kind of like what you were saying. I think a lot of guys know that having a daughter is a big deal to them,
Yep.
but they don't fully understand it until they have a daughter. I've had some friends of mine who have daughters, and they talk about it, and they're like, "Well, when I was having when my wife was pregnant, and we found out that we were having a daughter, it was kind of like, oh wow, that's crazy." And then like they start thinking about that, and they start recognizing within themselves, "Oh my gosh, I have to now protect my daughter from me," basically. And
Yeah,
then and then on
exactly.
top and then on top of that, when the daughter arrives, so when they have their baby and they actually look at their daughter, it's even more so. It's like, oh my gosh, I am now responsible for this tiny little girl.
Hmm. Yes. Yep. And then, of course, nothing smacks reality like, oh crap, what have I done to other cute little girls?
Yep, exactly.
And now I got to protect her from, like you said,
Yep,
me, the real me.
yeah,
And
because
that's why I
when
say firstborn daughter is a big thing.
it is, because one
And
of the
then, of
big
course, firstborn child
yeah.
is another.
Yep. Going back to the daughter thing real quick, one of the big things that you have to recognize, especially as a father, is that how your daughter relates to her husband you model that to you model that. So your daughter is going to seek out a man like you. If you are disrespectful and mean and nasty to your wife, your daughter's going to seek that out as well. So the question is, do you want that for your daughter? If you don't,
Hmm.
then by God, be good to your wife.
Yeah.
There are there are consequences to action. I don't like the term generational trauma or family trauma. I think it's stupid. I think it's idiotic. However, I will say that the concept is kind of true in the sense that each generation tends to perpetuate certain behaviors to the next generation below them, because the next generation below them observes how that generation behaves. So, like my daughter, if I had a daughter, she's watching and observing me and how I treat her mother, and if I want, like, if I'm not paying attention to that and I start doing things that are like terrible to the mother, I'm going to be perpetuating that in my daughter, because she's going to go and she's essentially going to go and find somebody who does the same thing to her, and I don't want that. So that's why, be good to your, like, be respectful and everything to your wife around your daughter, and even behind
Hmm.
closed doors, because behind closed doors, it's not behind closed doors. How you treat someone behind closed doors ends up very much being affected by much they are how much they behave outside of the closed doors.